pra Oslo, pra sair no Oslodum. Bloco afro da terra do bacalhau.
Oi, tudo bem? I'm Professor Jason. Welcome back to Jumpstart Brazilian Portuguese. In today's lesson, I'll be teaching you about transportation phrases. We're going to talk about the airport, taxis, buses, metros, and trains. We've got plenty to cover, so let's get started. All right, as usual, we're going to start off with an overview of the content for today's lesson. We're talking about different modes of transportation. We're going to go through air travel, taking a taxi, riding the bus, riding the metro or subway, riding the train. For each of these modes, we're going to introduce essential vocabulary and present some useful phrases. All right, so as promised, we're going to introduce some vocabulary that would be essential at the airport. So just a vocabulary list. In a second, we'll go on to the phrases. Airport is aeroporto. Flight, voo. Flight number, número de voo. To fly, voar. Passenger, passageiro or passageira. Reservation, reserva. To make a reservation, fazer uma reserva or reservar. Airline, companhia aérea. Destination, destino. Check-in counter, balcão de check-in or guichê de check-in. Automatic check-in kiosk is the guichê automático. To check in, the act of checking in is fazer o check-in. Your luggage or your bags is your bagagem. Your carry-on bag is your bagagem de mão. Boarding pass, cartão de embarque. Security is the área de segurança or controle de segurança. So to go through security is passar pela área de segurança or passar pelo controle de segurança. Baggage claim is retirada de bagagem. Okay, so we have a few more terms on this slide. Excess baggage would be excesso de bagagem, usually a fee associated with that. The gate, portão de embarque, portão de embarque. The duty-free shop, in Brazilian Portuguese, they just say duty-free. To wait at the gate is esperar no portão or aguardar, aguardar no portão de embarque. To board the plane is embarcar. Okay, so here are some phrases that would be useful while you're at the airport. Where are you traveling today? Está viajando para onde? What's your final destination? Qual é o seu destino final? May I see your passport? O passaporte, por favor. Will you be checking any bags? Vai despachar alguma mala? Sim, vou despachar uma mala, ou vou despachar duas malas. What gate does my flight depart from? Qual é o portão de embarque do meu voo? What time does my flight board? Qual é o horário de embarque do meu voo, por exemplo? Where do I go through security? Onde é o controle de segurança? Onde que eu passo pelo controle ou pela área de segurança? May I see your boarding pass? Seu cartão de embarque, por favor. Where's the duty-free shop? Onde fica o duty-free? Onde fica o duty-free? Excuse me, I have a question or I need help. Com licença, uma pergunta ou preciso de uma ajuda. I'd like to change my seat assignment. Eu gostaria de mudar o meu assento. Can I get on standby for this flight? Você poderia me incluir na lista de espera para este voo? Kind of a long question. Poderia me incluir na lista de espera para este voo? Is there a window seat available? Há assento de janela disponível? Há assento de janela disponível? Do you have anything to declare? So going through customs, for example. Você tem bens ou valores a declarar? The officer might say to you, você tem algo a declarar? Bens ou valores a declarar? This is a nightmare, but my luggage didn't arrive on my flight. Minha bagagem não chegou, or it was lost. Minha bagagem extraviou. Which flight were you on? Qual o número do seu voo? Qual é o número do seu voo? Qual o número do seu voo? Where's the rideshare pickup point? if you want to know where to grab the Uber, right? Onde posso pegar o Uber? Okay, so once you're on the flight, once you've boarded the plane, there's some more terms you may need to know. For example, seat is assento, window, janela, aisle, corredor, pilot, piloto, captain, capitão, co-pilot, copiloto, flight attendant, comissário ou comissária de bordo. A non-politically correct term, kind of the equivalent for stewardess, is aeromoça. Aeromoça. So, comissário de bordo, comissária de bordo, aeromoça for a female flight attendant, sort of an outdated term. Blanket, cobertor, cobertor, pillow, travesseiro, travesseiro. Restroom is toalete or lavatorio. Okay, moving on to some phrases you might say on the flight. Could we switch seats? Poderia trocar de lugar comigo? Poderia trocar de lugar comigo? Excuse me, can I get by you? Com licença, será que eu poderia passar? Poderia dar licença para eu passar? Just an alternative way. Very polite language. Could I get some earphones? You want to ask the flight attendant, could I get some earphones? Poderia me arrumar or fornecer uns fones de ouvido? Could I get a blanket or a pillow? Poderia me trazer cobertor or poderia me trazer travesseiro, a pillow. If you want to order a drink, right? A Coke, a tea, some coffee, a beer, wine. Eu gostaria de uma Coca Diet or chá, a tea, café, uma cerveja, vinho. So if I want to order a glass of wine, eu gostaria de vinho, por favor. If I want to get another, could I get another drink, please? Por favor, eu gostaria de mais drink. Is there a vegetarian option? Há alguma opção vegetariana? Há alguma opção vegetariana? Does this flight have Wi-Fi? Very important question. Há Wi-Fi disponível neste voo? All right, so we've arrived at the airport and we're ready to take a taxi. So here is some essential vocabulary for taking a taxi. Taxi is, of course, taxi, driver, motorista, taxi pickup point, ponto de táxi. To take a taxi, the verb is pegar, pegar táxi, credit card, cartão de crédito. To pay by card, pagar com cartão de crédito. Cash is dinheiro, dinheiro. To pay in cash is pagar em dinheiro, pagar em dinheiro. Tip is gorjeta. To leave a tip, deixar uma gorjeta. And then what I've done here on the last kind of third of the slide is listed some possible destinations such as hotel, museu, parque. Mall is o shopping center, centro comercial. Grocery store would be supermercado. Hospital, hospital, clinic, clínica. All right, then, moving on from our vocabulary to some useful phrases. Now, with all these modes that I'm going to introduce, these aren't all-inclusive or exhaustive lists. They're just some of the most frequent phrases that would be most helpful with some examples thrown in, some generic examples. So, if I walk up to the motorista and I want to know if the cab is free, I would say, está disponível? Could you take me to, let's say, to the airport? Poderia me levar ao aeroporto? Or to the Hotel Mar Ipanema? Poderia me levar ao Hotel Mar Ipanema? I'm going to. So, for example, I'm going to the shopping center. Vou para o shopping. Vou para o aeroporto. Vou para o Hotel Mar Ipanema. Vou para. How much will it cost to get there? Quanto custa? Quanto custa para ir até lá? Quanto custa para ir até lá? Do you accept credit cards? Good question to ask before you get in. Você aceita cartão de crédito? He might say, aceito sim. Of course I accept it. Or, no, I only accept cash. Não, só aceito dinheiro. Stop here, please. Pare aqui, por favor. Or, por favor, pare aqui. I'm getting out here. Fico aqui. Can you wait for me here? Pode me esperar? Pode me esperar aqui? I'll be back in 5 minutes. Volto em 5 minutos. All right, let's move on to talk about how to ride the bus or how to talk about riding the bus in Brazilian Portuguese. So we're going to introduce some essential vocabulary before we go on to the phrases. I wanted to point out one thing that's sort of a cultural note, and that is in Brazil, as in most places, you have two sort of different bus systems. Of course, you have the city bus system, o ônibus urbano, that takes you around one particular city. But you also have the intercity or regional or even national bus network. And in Brazilian Portuguese, those would be os ônibus interurbanos. And so in this presentation with the vocabulary, I'm kind of mixing it up, but then I'll break out the phrases depending on whether we're talking about bus urbano, city bus, or ônibus interurbano, the intercity bus network. All right, essential vocabulary. Of course, bus is ônibus. Driver, again, motorista. Passenger, passageiro or passageira. Bus station, terminal de ônibus. That's usually for the city buses. Terminal de ônibus. For the intercity buses, the regional or national network, typically they will say rodoviária. Like, where is the bus terminal, the intercity bus terminal? Onde é a rodoviária? Bus stop, ponto de ônibus or parada de ônibus. Ponto or parada de ônibus. Bus fare is a tarifa. A bus fare card would be cartão, right? The e-ticket would be bilhete eletrônico. Generic word for ticket, if it's bus, metro, train, is bilhete. So, bus ticket, bilhete de ônibus. It could be bilhete eletrônico de ônibus. Or for the inner city network, os ônibus interurbano são passagens de ônibus. When you're buying a bus fare for the intercity, intercity, right? The regional national buses, kind of the long haul buses. They have different categories or different types of buses. Conventional is your typical bus. Executive, you have a little bit more room. The half sleeper, you can imagine your seat reclines almost all the way and you can sleep. And then the sleeper cars. In Brazilian Portuguese, those categories are convencional, executivo, semileito, and leito. So just be aware of that if you're purchasing bus fare for that intercity route, from Rio to São Paulo. You might want to go semileito or leito if you want to get some sleep. Finally, to ride the bus is andar de ônibus. All right, now let's get into talking about some of the useful phrases for riding the bus. And as I mentioned, I'm going to divide this up first on this slide talking about the city or local buses, and then on the next slide we'll talk about that intercity, regional, or national bus network phrases. So if we're taking the bus locally, we'd want to use phrases like this. Where's the closest bus stop? Onde é o ponto de ônibus mais próximo? Onde é o ponto de ônibus mais próximo? If I want to ask somebody, does this bus go by a particular place, like Ibirapuera Park in São Paulo, the Art Museum, or Santinho Beach in Florianópolis, I would say, esse ônibus vai para o Parque Ibirapuera. Esse ônibus, I'm struggling with my pronunciation. Esse ônibus vai para o Museu de Arte, or esse ônibus vai para a Praia Santinho. Which bus goes to? So if I want to ask which bus goes to a particular place, right? Qual ônibus que vai para o Parque Ibirapuera? Or qual ônibus vai para a Praia Santinho? How much is bus fare? Qual é o valor? Qual é o valor da tarifa? Do I need to buy a ticket to ride the bus? Preciso comprar bilhete para pegar o ônibus? How do I buy bus tickets? If you just want to know, how do I buy the tickets? Como faço para comprar bilhete? Where do I buy bus tickets? Onde compro o bilhete de ônibus? Onde compro o bilhete de ônibus? What time is the next bus? Que horas passa o próximo ônibus? Or slightly more formally, a que horas passa o próximo ônibus? I'm getting off at the next stop. Vou descer na próxima parada. Ou vou descer no próximo ponto. Can you stop here, please, so I can get off? Poderia parar aqui para eu descer, por favor? Poderia parar aqui, por favor? So these are some local or city bus phrases. Okay, moving on to some phrases that might be useful when writing the intercity, regional, or national bus network. Again, where's the bus station? It's going to be rodoviária. Onde é a rodoviária? Onde é a rodoviária? Como faço para comprar uma passagem? How do I buy a bus ticket? Como faço para comprar uma passagem de ônibus? Where can I buy bus tickets? Onde compro passagens de ônibus? How much is the fare to? So, for example, how much is the fare to Rio? Quanto é a passagem até Rio de Janeiro? I would like to buy a bus ticket to, let's say, Curitiba. Queria comprar uma passagem para Curitiba. What time is the next bus to São Paulo? Que horas sai o próximo ônibus para São Paulo? Where does the bus to Rio depart from? Onde sai o ônibus para Rio de Janeiro? Onde sai? Once I'm on the bus, is this seat free? Este lugar está desocupado? Este lugar está desocupado? Do you mind if I sit here? You could say, você se importa se eu sentar aqui? Pretty formal. Or more simply, posso me sentar aqui? Could you let me know when we get to? This one can be extremely useful if you're not familiar with the bus route or how many stops are between where you're at and your destination. Simply ask somebody, could you let me know when we get to Curitiba, for example? Você poderia me avisar quando chegarmos a Curitiba? Você poderia me avisar quando chegarmos a São Paulo? When it comes to taking the metrô, the subway, or the train, a lot of the vocabulary and some of the phrases are the same or very similar. So I've kind of mashed them up here in this part of the presentation. Let's look at some of our essential vocabulary for taking the metro, or the train. So the subway or the metrô is going to be metrô. Notice the accent on the final syllable. O metrô. Train is trem. Notice the nasalization of that vowel. O trem. The conductor is o condutor. As a passenger, you are the passageiro or passageira. To ride the metrô is andar de metrô or andar de trem. Andar de metrô, andar de trem. Metro station, estação de metrô. Train station or terminal, estação de trem. A stop is uma parada, a parada, uma parada. Again, generic word for ticket, bilhete. Generic word for fare, tarifa. Fare card would be cartão. An electronic ticket, bilhete eletrônico. So cartão, bilhete eletrônico. Platform is a plataforma. And a car, a train car, a metro car, carro. And a seat is assento. All right, on the next two slides, we'll introduce some phrases for taking the metro or the train. And some of the phrases that I introduced a couple slides back, taking the bus, the intercity buses, will apply with slight modifications, obviously. So, where's the closest metro station? Onde é a estação de metrô mais próxima? Onde é a estação de metrô mais próxima? How do I buy tickets? Como faço para comprar bilhete ou cartão de metrô? Como faço para comprar bilhete de metrô? Onde compro bilhete? Or onde compro cartão de metrô? If I want to know where can I buy metro tickets or cards. Onde compro bilhete de metrô? How much is metro fare? Quanto é a tarifa do metrô? Quanto é a tarifa do metrô? Which line goes to, you could say, the shopping center? Qual linha de metrô vai para o centro comercial? Qual linha de metrô? Qual linha de metrô vai para o Parque Ibirapuera? How many stops is it to, let's say, the art museum? São quantas paradas até o Museu de Arte? São quantas paradas até, and then wherever the place is. Could you let me know when we get to, same phrase, você poderia me avisar quando chegarmos a, whatever the stop is. All right, and then finally, some expressions for taking the train. Now, the train is not a really important transportation mode throughout Brazil, but there are a few train kind of trajectories in Brazil that are interesting to explore perhaps. So just some phrases in case you find yourself in that situation. Where's the closest train station? Onde é a estação de trem mais próxima? Onde é a estação de trem mais próxima? How do I buy train tickets? Como faço para comprar uma passagem de trem? Passagem de trem. Where can I buy train tickets? Onde compro? Onde compro passagens de trem? How much is the fare to, let's say, Curitiba? Quanto é a passagem até Curitiba? I would like to buy a ticket to, let's say, the town of Morretes. Queria comprar uma passagem para Morretes. What time is the next train to, let's say, Ouro Preto? Que hora sai o próximo trem para Ouro Preto? And then where does the train to Morretes depart from? Where does the train to Curitiba depart from? Onde sai o trem para Curitiba? So these are some train expressions. All right, that's it for today's lesson. Hope you found it to be informative and useful. If so, would you please like, comment, and share with others? Don't forget to add and follow me on social media for updates, and be sure to come back to the Professor Jason channel again soon. See you next time. Até breve. Ciao.
Eu vou pra Oslo, pra sair no Oslodum, um bloco asfo da terra do